Right this minute, when I'm not actually standing in front of you, I just finished a short story called The Trouble, the first draft it was called The Trouble with Belinda, but I think it's going to be called The Trouble with Cassandra in the next draft. And that's for an anthology called Star-Crossed Lovers, edited by Gardner Dozois and George R. R. Martin. And it's kind of fun because it's the first piece of actual adult fiction I've written in a while. It's that sort of point where I don't really think of myself as being any one kind of thing. But there is a sort of weird point where you suddenly turn around and you go, actually, I've been mainly writing children's stuff for a while now. And even the short stories have been children's stories. So this one isn't. It's a story about a man in his 30s who, when he was about 14 or 15, to impress his friends who were all older than him, he made up a girlfriend. And did that thing where he wrote her name on his exercise books, and talked about her a bit. And she was his first girlfriend, except that she didn't actually exist, but his friends didn't know that. And now he's in his 30s, his friends start saying things to him like, hey, I heard from that girlfriend of yours. And she's starting to contact him on Facebook, and she wrote his mother in the supermarket. It's what you do when somebody that you made up a long time ago turns up in your life. That's what I just finished. Need to do a second draft of that. And I'm working in a sort of knowing that at the beginning of next year I really have to work and will probably sort of fall offline and more or less fall off the world to get done a book with the working title of Monkey and Me. It's probably not going to be called Monkey and Me anymore because I noticed the other week in a bookshop a children's picture book called Monkey and Me. You don't want to confuse people. So but it's a non-fiction book about China and me and the story that's known either as Monkey or as The Journey to the West and the history of that and stuff. And I thought it would be a really I find China fascinating. I find the monkey story absolutely fascinating, and it's one of those weird and wonderful intersections of real life and folklore in the 7th century. For those of you who know nothing at all about monkey, I go, what on earth is he talking about? In the 7th century, a monk named Shenzan, a Chinese monk, Buddhist monk, came to the completely correct conclusion that what they had of Buddhism in China was very badly translated and incredibly incomplete. So set off against imperial orders, single-handedly, and made a 7-year trek into India to bring back the accurate Buddhist texts, and then spent the rest of his life translating them. Folk tales grew up around this, and by the 16th century, a man named Wu Cheng'an wrote one of the 4 classic great works of Chinese literature, which is The Journey to the West, in which the monk does go off to the east, but is commanded to go by Buddha, and is accompanied on the way by a magical monkey, a magical sort of pig creature, a reformed cannibal water demon, and a dragon who ate his horse. He ate the monk's horse, so takes the form of the horse for the rest of the 4 or 6 books of The Journey to the West. And if you're like me, you keep expecting the story where the dragon does something, and he doesn't, he stays a horse. It's a waste of a perfectly good dragon. But it's one of the stories that the Chinese kind of love, and I kind of love, and it seemed to be a way into China. So last year I actually did The Journey to the West. I did it by train and car and bus and occasionally plane. And this year I'm going back in a few weeks to do some interviews with people over there and learn a little bit more about it. I'm going to write this book mostly because it's been 22 years since I did a non-fiction book, and I thought I should do one before I forgot how. So the last time I did one, it was a book called Don't Panic, about double standards. This time it's about China. So that's what I'm working on. And there's other stuff that I'm late on, or that I've forgotten to list. Yes, up there.
I was wondering if there's a chance we're all going to get pie.
Is there no. But I have actually worked out and discovered how much it costs to do pie for absolutely every human being who works for HarperCollins Children's Division, which is 250 something pieces of pie, and it's 16 large pies. So 16 large pies are on their way to HarperCollins. Anybody who doesn't know, that's because the Graveyard book has now been in the top 10, somewhere in the top 10 on the New York Times bestseller list, children's list, for 52 weeks now. I mentioned on my blog that I was at a party, a very peculiar party, about 18 months ago in Los Angeles. The chairman of HarperCollins threw this party, and anyone who was at Book Expo America was invited, who had something to do with HarperCollins or whatever. So I was there, and I, obviously, being me, spent most of my time trying to persuade Matt Groening that I needed to be a head in a jar in Futurama. I spent my party doing. At one point during the party, a very nice lady named Riley came over to me and she said, I read books for the studio. I work for 20th Century Fox and I read books for them. And I recommend them and I scout. And she said, and I've read the Graveyard book and it will be at least 53 weeks on the New York Times list. And I said, thank you very much, thinking that this was just her way of saying, it will be good, it will do well, it will be all right. And I sent her an email last week saying, oh my God, 52 weeks, you were right. And she wrote me an email back that just said, I said 53. And yes, pie was my thank you. Actually, pie began as their thank you to me, my editor, Elise Howard, who is not a pie-making person. You know how you meet people and you go, yes, you make pie. And you go, you edit books. And she informed me that she would be making pie for me, and obviously this was if I got to 52 weeks, which was actually part of the fun for me, because I thought, this isn't just like somebody who's going to go, oh, 52 weeks, I'll bash out a pie for Neil. This is going to be an adventure for this woman. Recipe books are going to be involved. Failed pies are probably going to be. Let's over that corner. Yes, where are we at? Yes. Shout.
Can you talk a little bit about the place of poetry in your identity and aspirations as a writer?
I can. The question was, can I talk a bit about the place of poetry in my identity and aspirations as a writer? I'm a not very good poet, in my opinion, but I love writing poetry. And every now and again, much in the way that